Hi guys, my name is Helfia Henselika Suradey Putri. Now, I want to tell you about my review novel for Dear Nathan novel. So, for the book identity, the first novel title is Dear Nathan. The novelist is Eriska Febriani. Number of pages of this novel is 520 pages. For the publishing, this novel is published in 2016. For the genre, there are romance and school life, and age range for teenagers. So, there are synopses of the novel. So, starting from the delay of a girl attending the first ceremony at the new school, namely Salma Alfira, met a man who helped her to sneak through the side gate. Investigated, the man turned out to be named Nathan, a naughty person who often becomes the subject of gossip for other students' school. What will our life be like in the future? No one ever knows what it will be like. Likewise with Salma's life, which changed drastically when she moved to her new school, namely Garuda High School. Her friends are not as friendly as in her old school. Some of them were rioters and liked to fight, including Nathan. Nathan, he didn't think that he would finally fall in love with Salma, the new girl who seemed to want to cry when she was late for school. If, according to Nathan, being late is a normal thing for him, it turns out that it is much different when the situation is faced by a sweet woman who makes him turn into a man full of feelings. Nathan had just realized that falling in love with an innocent woman who had never been in a relationship was quite draining. Initially, he really enjoyed the pursuit of his love. It was not only love that colored Nathan's life, but there was also a big problem that he had faced for a long time, namely a very heavy family problem. So Nathan felt that it was hard to bear it. Losing someone he loved very much, feeling abandoned by his father, and many other problems that were in Nathan's brain. So that's it for the synopsis. We go to storyline. So for the storyline, this novel is a mixed plot because the storyline is described in sequence and sometimes discusses the past. At the beginning of the story, it begins with the introduction of the character, then the main character meets the opposite sex. At one event, a conflict arises which continues to conflict or climax, then discusses the past of the main character followed by an anticlimax, and at the end of the story there is a solution. So for the theme, Dear Nathan is high school romance. For the point of view, in this novel, it uses a knowledgeable third-person point of view. The reason is because in the novel, the writer seems to know the whole storyline and tells the character of each character in depth. So for the language style, the language used is the everyday language of today's teenagers, using language that is easy to understand, using the appropriate diction. So we go to the characterization. First, Nathan. Tricky or delinquent, they're impolite and respect women and to be responsible. Second, there is Salma Alfira. She is diligent and then polite, and of course, she is honest. The third, there is Meisha. She is understanding friends. And then Afifa, she is chatty. And there are several characters in this novel, of course. So, for the moral message that in this novel, there are several moral messages that we can include. First, even though we have mistakes in the past, don't make these mistakes prevent us from changing for the better. The second, it is very important to respect other people's feelings. Third, Don't be selfish and don't just focus on happiness for yourself. And the fourth, don't judge someone on the outside because what looks bad isn't necessarily bad in the real world. So there are book excellence and weakness of this book. So go to the first is book excellence. Even though the theme of this book is already mainstream, or many novelists make stories with similar stories, it is Nathan's character who is the flagship in this novel. In essence, the writer succeeded in creating a strong character. Not only the main character, there are many supporting figures. The writer is good at giving a distinctive character in each supporting character with the characteristics of his high school student. The storyline that is presented also makes sense. The conflicts that are told can be conveyed well, and the resolution of the conflicts is neat. There are so many messages that can be taken from this novel, of course, regarding compassion, sacrifice, friendship, and the meaning of forgiving and accepting the reality of life. For the weakness of the book, the use of standard language in a conversation between two characters doesn't represent that they are a pair of young children and feels more rigid. The way the writer makes the narrative feels redundant. Sometimes the choice of word is not right. The narrative also often rotates here and there. This 520-page thick book gives the impression of being lazy to read this book for the first time. But however, this book is good for you teenagers to live their youth. So that's it for my review for the novel Dear Nathan. Thank you so much for your attention and bye bye.